Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind, these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy.
All right, folks, here we are after market close on Friday, January 21st. We're going to take a look at SoFi. So SoFi coming down almost 7.5% today, so pretty big red day. But I think, if you consider the days that we had leading up to this, the big bank charter catalyst, this is not only to be expected, but at least it's not more than was gained. Right? So we came up about $1.65 on the 19th, and then yesterday about $1.29. Today coming down about $1.11. So pretty small movements dollar-wise for pretty large percentages because the stock's price is pretty low. Now, if we want to take a look at the intraday today, I've been using the 10-minute interval quite a bit recently, and it's I think it's been serving pretty well, for what it's worth. If anyone wants to think about toying around with it, it smooths out things pretty well, and if you can be patient enough to let the candles form, that's the trick, of course, right? But we saw it coming down here in a fully bearish formation as far as the EMAs go, and mostly getting trapped under this 12. And even here when it came up, sort of my rule of thumb lately with these EMAs and these 10-minute candles is looking for bullish crossovers of the EMAs and looking to see what it does on this 34 EMA, which is the one in the middle here. And as you see, it's just wicked off of here both times that it touched it today. So really not a lot of strength at that level. And so that, would have hopefully helped sort of keep any head fakes away in case, folks thought that there was a buying opportunity there for intraday or short-term movement. So, the other factor is obviously the market continuing to just be really, really wretched today. Even the S&P down almost 2%, right? So these are pretty big moves in the overall market, and I think we're kind of seeing ourselves being tied back to it again. I know I had mentioned a couple of days ago in that video that my hope for this catalyst would be that it would help shake SoFi loose from the grips of the overall market and the fintech sector on whole. And that sort of lasted for a couple of days, but that may have proven to have been worn off today. We'll have to see if that continues to be the case leading into next week. I don't know that there's a ton of bullish signs. I think with the tapering that's happening and the pending, I guess all but certain at this point, rate increases, that there's going to continue to be a lot of, we'll say at least choppiness, if not just, downturns in the market for the foreseeable future. We'll see. Who knows if there's catalysts that could come along that could change that. But I guess the extent to which the bank charter does help SoFi turn the tide, it'll be in sort of an interesting, weird place where, the banks can talk about how increased interest rates can help them in their business versus, the growth sector and tech stocks maybe being seen as easy targets or being most hard hit by rate increases because capital becomes more costly. So now SoFi is sort of occupying both of those seats. It'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out in the minds of the market as a whole. Now in the daily chart here, this does put us in an interesting place. We'll obviously want to keep a strong eye on this gap that would lead us down close to $13 again. That said, the gap, if we take it from wick to wick, is really just like 1338 down to, like I said, just shy of $13. So it's not that big of a range. The danger there to me is always that the momentum that it breeds if it comes down to fill that gap, if that just is sort of adding to any selling pressure, any perceived FUD or larger drawdowns in the market, what have you. And you see this one coming down too, just to come down to fill the gap. What could otherwise be a solid bounce after it fills the gap could just be, momentum carrying it through the gap and then further down, because it just now has this, red tape that's kind of filling everything. But we'll have to see what happens. I mean, the other possibility here is if it can continue to stabilize around this $14 level. I think I had mentioned in my video a couple days ago as well that I think these step ups at this moment are really just on the 50 and on the dollar psychological levels. So I know we have like technically 1466 and 1557, and we don't even have 15 on there, for example. But I actually think that those are all like pretty much in play at this point on the 50 cents. So 50 cents and on the dollar would be the levels that I'd be looking for at the moment, just because, like I said, I think that it's largely a psychological game at this point as well. Also, I think that amplifies when you do have this sort of drawing down and FUD in the overall market itself. And, if we consider these EMAs, like we were just talking about, it's doing this thing that, I would sort of watch very closely. It rejected off of the 34 EMA, coming down to test the 12, and it caught it there at the moment, but I would want to watch it very, very carefully to see if it's able to make a run back up early next week and retest this 34, all the while not losing support of the 12. If it does, I'd really want to see what it does at this 1350 level, and if not, then we might be looking back down at and needing that $13 support, which, like I said, could then suffice for filling the gap. I guess the other question is, was the volume relatively thin throughout this wick, and so maybe the gap wouldn't truly be completed until about 1275, 1280. I don't know. To go in and analyze the volume at the different price points there, but something to consider. I guess the other decent thing is, while the volume was still very high today, 134 million in volume, that'll probably come up because we're pretty close to market close here. Yesterday we had 268 million, almost 269 million, and the day before that 186.7 million. So both of those days well outpacing today. And so being that those were nice green up days, and today we have some selling pressure coming in on a lower volume day, although that's still monster volume for SoFi, taking it in the context of, catalyst through today, I'm hoping that it's not as sort of rough as it may have seemed. I don't know. Again, that's kind of looking for possibly some bullish hope in all of this, but I think next week will be very, very telling of what this catalyst actually brought SoFi, especially if it continues to be in the face of an overall market that is challenged, to put it mildly. Oh, and in the spirit of sharing, I did sell, I think February 18th, 1750 call option. I sold it, sort of like running a wheel with my commons. I did that yesterday on the big green day. I thought, 1750 might be a lot to ask for this stock in the next month or so. And still, it's like huge percentage gains. I did that when it was in like the 15s, I think. And so, we'll see how that plays out. But I just wanted to share, for anyone who wheels or does anything to offset or bring down their cost basis on any of their long commons plays. But yeah, that's where we are situated at the moment as far as I can tell. I guess it'll be interesting to see. I know there was some like nasty articles that came out. That's might not be the right word, but there was some like fuddy articles that came out for sure. Though I don't see them right here, but I swear that I heard tell of them. I don't know. I don't pay attention that much to these like slew of clickbaity articles, but I don't see it there. But I thought that I had heard tell of one that was like very, very bearish on SoFi in general, but even with the bank charter coming into play, being very bearish about that too, basically being like, this doesn't mean anything. I would certainly not agree with that, but time will tell in terms of the stock. I do think that it will. I hope that they're shrewd enough to build in some really strong, we'll say at least talking points, if not very like foreseeable, very obvious to the investor, the average trader, like gain possibilities in the business. Hopefully they build a bunch of those into the talking points and the discussion around earnings. That's, I would hope that comes into play strongly as well. And maybe it'll help boost guidance. That would be fantastic if they continue to have a really good earnings reports, which in general they have. I know that one we gapped down quite a bit, but previous to that and since then, we've had pretty solid reporting. And if that continues to be the case and they're able to raise guidance because of the bank charter, that would also be super, super positive and could provide a really, really strong catalyst for SoFi, since it does seem to love to move on catalysts. All right, folks, I got to call it a day, but I appreciate you watching and hope you have a nice weekend and that your trading week is off to a good start on Monday. I appreciate you watching and I will see you in the next video.